Life can be bright, beautiful, fun, and amazing. But there's a cloud that hangs over everything: death. Each day, for any of us, death is always possible. Even worse for all of us, death is inevitable. Scientists tell us that the universe itself has a shelf life. The expiration date is millions and millions of years away, but still, just like our lives, it's just a matter of time. All our bright, beautiful, fun experiences, memories, hopes, dreams, interests, relationships, loves, and hates will simply end. Yeah, that's pretty depressing. Are there any answers? Is there hope? As with all the other big questions of life, different worldviews give radically different answers. A naturalistic, secular, all of reality is physical worldview would say bluntly, no, there is no hope, but thanks for playing. Eastern pantheistic views are more hopeful and more complex. All of reality is spiritual and therefore indestructible. But that spiritual essence is one impersonal thing. This means no individual human being survives death. The one universal soul survives, so there is immortality of the soul, but not personal and individual immortality, where you remain you. The matter of hope for the universe and hope for ourselves as individuals is where the Christ-centered worldview truly shines. It claims that through one single event, death, the enemy of life, no longer has the final word. That one single act was the resurrection of Jesus of Nazareth from the dead. And before anyone dismisses the idea as a nice-sounding but unrealistic religious sentiment, it's good to take some things into consideration. New Testament scholars and historians are confident they have discovered the earliest known statement of Christian belief on record. In the Apostle Paul's letter to the Church of Corinth, Paul references what scholars would have concluded is a creedal statement that would have been formed and recited within no more than 2 or 3 years of Jesus' life. Paul writes, "For what I received, I passed on to you as of first importance, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the 3rd day according to the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas, and then to the 12. After that, he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers and sisters at the same time." This statement is significant for the question of hope in a few crucial ways. 1, it demonstrates that the resurrection was central to the Christian message from the very start. In other words, it wasn't a myth that developed over time. 2, it shows that early Christians, who were nearly all Jewish, believed Jesus' resurrection was a fulfillment of the Scriptures they loved and had built their lives on for centuries. Their willingness to adjust their lives, beliefs, and practices to the new reality Jesus inaugurated is a remarkable fact all by itself. 3, it gives to all of us something that is very important for the question of hope. Evidence. Historical, real-life evidence. The same kind of evidence that teaches us Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon or George Washington crossed the Delaware. In this creed, they affirm the resurrection had eyewitnesses. They didn't proclaim that Jesus was a spiritual leader whose body was dead but whose spirit was alive. A claim like that was common, and it's common now. They claimed something more radical and more significant. Jesus truly died. His body was buried in a tomb and rose again 3 days later. Literally, physically, historically. And he is still alive, never to die again. This was the flame that lit the fuse of the greatest movement the world has ever seen. It changed everything. Most of all, it meant that death, the undefeatable enemy of us all, had been defeated. Is there anything in life more worth conquering than death? Think of all the heartache and tragedy, grief and hopelessness so many have suffered at death's hands. Death is rightly called the enemy. It's an invader, a distortion, an alien injected into God's good system that turns beauty to ashes and dancing to mourning. To understand the singular importance of the resurrection, it's vital to know that it was a kind of inauguration. It was a beginning point, a taste of what's coming. We can think of it as a kind of down payment guaranteeing a greater future. It's remarkable and miraculous that Jesus rose again from the dead. But according to the Christ-centered worldview, it doesn't stop there. Jesus is called the pattern of what is coming. a reversal, a restoration, an undoing of all the damage death has done. Like in the case of the predicted death of the universe, it still may be a long time into the future, but it's just a matter of time. The first and most important move has already happened. Everything is set in motion. We are waiting. It's just a matter of time until those who have placed their trust in the resurrected Christ will be healed, restored, and completely delivered from the effects and threats of death. Even though their bodies may be lifeless and placed in tombs just like his, they will be raised again, indestructible, immortal, literally, physically, historically. In the words of the writer and pastor Timothy Keller, the Christ-centered view of things is resurrection, not a future that is just a consolation for the life we never had, but a restoration of the life you always wanted. This means that every horrible thing that ever happened will not only be undone and repaired, but will in some way make the eventual glory and joy even greater. Honestly, it sounds like a promise that is too good to be true, but that's what makes the physical, eyewitness resurrection story so important. It's not just trying to communicate a nice, inspirational idea. With solid, evidence-based terms, it is assuring us that death does not have the final word. It assures us that there absolutely is hope.